Okay, this pep talk I am super excited about simply because it took me a really long time to figure this out. This is reevaluating the beliefs that you grew up with so that you can step into what you deeply desire in your life. And I think for me, especially, and I feel like a lot of people really go through life this way, and that is we grow up in our home for 18 years, let's just say 18 years, and we have seen and been taught, and certain things have been allowed into the home via media, right? Movies, shows, whatever that we watch growing up. And that all has an impact on how we view the world, the perspective that we have on things. And a lot of times, we never take the time to stop and reevaluate any of it. And so then we have kids and we're doing things the way that we were taught. Maybe one day, suddenly we're like, oh, this actually really doesn't feel very good. And I don't want to do it this way, but we're so afraid to change because we've been so conditioned and it's so ingrained into us that this is the way that it should be done. And so then, of course, that shame and that guilt comes up. And then when we do try to change something, well, then maybe like mom says something or an aunt or grandma, whatever that is, says something. And it makes you question everything. And when we can get really sure about who we are, about the decisions that we want to make, and we know our why behind all of it, this is when everything changes. This is when we are able to truly live life for us. There is a lot of emotional freedom that comes with this, and it feels really good, but I am not going to pretend that it feels really good from the start because it's hard. It is work to make these changes. Like, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it here. I'm not going to try to make it sound like it was a walk in the park. I have reevaluated a lot in my life, and I have stepped away from a lot that I was raised with, including the religion I was raised in. And I talked about that earlier this month. If you want to listen to that one, it's on the August 4th pep talk. But I was going through the motions. I became a mom, just like my husband when he became a dad. He was taught that the man goes to work and provides, and the woman stays home, and we nurture and we take care of. And so here we were, two of us working, and I was still doing all of the bills, taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, making sure dinner was cooked every day when he got home, and doing the laundry, staying on top of everything because that was my job. His only job was to provide. My job was to do everything else. And that's what I was taught. The man has needs. I am here to meet those needs and take care of him. And felt really crappy. Did not feel good at all. And so I've had to reevaluate a lot in my life. And I remember one day sitting there and I was just like, oh my gosh, this sucks. This isn't what I signed up for. If this is what the rest of my life is going to look like, I don't want any part of it. And I really had to sit down and reevaluate. And I just want to give you a few steps here on how to reevaluate and how to decide what feels good and what doesn't. And maybe you already have a few ideas popping into your head. Great. But one, think about a time of day or a part of your day that you dread every single day. And then ask yourself why. Why do you dread that? Or maybe it's a form of punishment that you're using with your kids, or maybe it's a form of, I don't know, maybe you're like, actually, I hate cooking, but I don't know how to tell my husband because I don't think it should be his job either. Like the gender roles that we were raised with, at least I was. So it's like, let's look at all these things that don't feel good and just ask ourselves why. Why doesn't this feel good? And then ask yourself, okay, it's okay. Like where I'm at is where I'm at, right? The acceptance piece. And so where you're at is just where you're at. It's not to be judged. It's just, it is what it is. So now that you've realized and accepted, how do you want to change it? What do you want to do differently? What discussion can you have with your partner? What boundaries might need to be put in place with a parent or a family member, and maybe a friend. And why are you doing it that way? Why are you choosing to do it that way? Because maybe that's the idea that popped into your head and it felt really good and it felt right, but then fear crept in a little bit because you're like, oh my gosh, well, like my mom wouldn't be proud of this. I'm doing it different than she did growing up and she's going to make comments about it. I've been through that too. I promise you that. So you get to decide. And I promise eventually the parents stop. The family member stops. The friend stops saying stuff about the way that you're doing things because you are the one that knows best for you. You are the one that knows best for your kids. And you get to choose to lean into that. And you get to reevaluate all the beliefs that you hold right now. You get to deconstruct them and rebuild new beliefs that you want to hang on to instead. And when you take the time to do that and you feel really good about what you're doing and why, then when other people start to make comments, it's going to roll right off your shoulders. You're not even going to care because you are so solid in the choices that you have made and you feel that they are the best for your family, for your kids, for you. Nobody else can wait. Nobody else can sway that because you decided. You chose how you wanted to live your life. So you get to choose to reevaluate everything and decide how you want to do it instead. And then you get to make it happen. And you get to let others' opinions of that roll off your shoulders. It will take some time until you hit that point. Like I will tell you that it'll take time and it might need some boundaries put in place. But if you can go through the hard now, the emotional freedom that comes on the other side of that journey is freaking amazing. To let their comments just roll off your shoulder without a care in the world. You're like, okay, thanks. Glad you feel that way. Like, doesn't matter. I'm still going to do it this way because it's how I feel. Instead of always questioning, oh, maybe I should go back the other way. Like, maybe it was better. You are firm in what you believe, and that is your choice. And I will talk to you next time.